Year 5. I'm back to feeling challenging again. Sorry. This week we're going to be doing something that even I still find really tricky. So this will take me even a really long time. So be patient with this. Take your time and don't be too hard on yourself if it doesn't work really well, because this is something that I find super hard. You're going to need a grey lead today. You're going to need a piece of paper and you're going to need your hand. Or you can use a photo of a hand. What you're going to be doing today is you're going to have a go at trying to realistically draw your hand and think about the shading of it. Where would be light? Where would be dark? What details are important? How do we make it look real? Like I said, this is something that I still find really tricky. Hands and feet, they're so hard. So just have a go. We'll see how we do. If you are right-handed, you'll draw your left hand. If you are left-handed, you will draw your right hand. Or like I said, you can grab a photo of a hand, maybe look it up online and have a look at something to draw. Grab your things. I'll show you how I do it. Sort of. We'll have a go. It's hard. Okay, so I've got a couple of grey leads here. I'm going to be drawing my hand just flat like this with my fingers slightly spread apart. I feel like that's a nice sort of easy-ish way to start. It means you don't have to worry about how things look when they're next to each other or when they're bending. It also means it's something that it's easy for me to keep referring back to without having to make sure I remember the position my fingers were in exactly. If you want to have a go at trying to do something a little bit more complicated, it's probably best that you take a photo of it. I've also taken a photo of my hand just like this, and I'm going to pop it up in the corner like I have been of my videos. And I'm also looking back at that as well. So I've got my real life hand in front of me and I've also got my photo. Like I said, guys, I still find drawing hands really tricky. It's something that takes a lot of time and a lot of practice. All you can really do is have a go, okay? So there's a few things that you need to try and remember, and that is just that these are bends, okay? So if you are trying to draw your hands realistically, your hands aren't just like one little hot dog or sausage. These actually have lines and divots and bends in them. And they're not flat. They're not just one straight line. When we start by doing something like this, as with almost any drawing, we need to sketch it really, really lightly so we have room to change things if we need to. All right, so I'm basically going to be starting with a circle, essentially. And then I'm going to start by adding a little bit more shape to it. So I started with this circle, this big circle, and as you can see, I'm drawing really light. And I'm going to add more detail to this as I go along. So in my little photo I've got, which I'll put up, my sleeve is about here. So I'm going to include that in my drawing as well, even though I might push it up during this video. Okay. So my sleeve kind of goes like that. Now I know that this is probably going to change quite a bit. It's not going to stay like this, so don't get too hung up on spending lots of time just doing these like outline sort of sketchy lines. Just have a go, get the right shape in there, and then we'll go on to adding detail. Okay, so I need to make this a little bit longer, I think. Okay, so my thumb is coming out of here. So, okay. In my picture that I've got, my thumb is basically in line with my knuckle of my first finger, so across here. So that's how long I'm roughly going to make it. It comes out a little bit more. It doesn't really matter if you accidentally like have to take this off the page because you've drawn it too big or whatever. Just do the best you can. Okay. Ooh, so hard. Okay, there's lots of lines in there, so we'll come back to that. And then it's got a bit of a, that's my nail. Oh, okay, so a little bit off the page, but not too bad. And then sort of got to round this out a bit here. Yeah, and then that goes like that. All right, then the next bit. Oh, okay. My pinky finger sort of goes out a bit. So I'm just going to start by sketching it really lightly. So I think my pinky and my thumb should be about the same length. So they should also be about the same length in my drawing. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. If you just try and trace your hand, believe me, I can tell. So I want you to have a go trying to draw it freehand like I am. Okay, that little finger comes around and it's sort of like that. So I'm just going to start with doing the outline, the really rough bits, and then I'm going to go in and do my shading and my detail, and I'll do a little bit of a sped up video of that, but I'm not going to make you sit through and watch all of it because I want you to have a go. Oh dear. Okay, told you this was something I still struggle with as well. I find hands the trickiest of all of the things to draw, unfortunately, and I try my best to avoid them, but they are a very, very handy thing. Oh, that was not intentional, but it was a bit funny. A handy thing to know how to draw. If you can draw hands, it makes a big difference in your artwork. You don't have to try and avoid... I don't think I've made these fat enough. Okay, so I can already tell that I've messed up, but that's okay. This is what this is for. So I need a bigger gap over here, and these guys need to move over a little bit, and that guy's gonna go like that, out like that. And I think this finger's probably gonna go off the page as well. That's okay. So that one's going to go a little bit behind. Oh. Okay, we're getting somewhere. There we go. This is better, I think. I think this is better. Okay. Okay, so I've got my very, 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 very rough drawing, which is what I'm going to start working with. All right, I'm going to do some fixing up, some adding of detail, then I will come back and show you how I'm going to start shading and stuff. Oh, I forgot how hard this was. Okay, so I've gone through, I've fixed up some bits and pieces. I've still got a couple of fingers that sort of go off the page a little bit. I'm okay with that. I should have probably made it a little bit smaller, but you can learn from my mistakes and make yours a little bit smaller. I am super happy with this finger. I don't know why, but it just has really worked for me. And the rest we'll keep working on. So with something like this, I'm going to imagine that my light source is coming straight down from the top, because that is basically what it's doing in here. So before I go crazy and add too many like lines and details and stuff, I'm going to try and add in some shading, but I'm not going to go too crazy with it. I'm going to try and keep it light. So if my light source is coming from straight down, these bits in here are going to be my darkest, and the highest points on my fingers will be the lightest. This is really handy as well because our lines are usually often the darkest part we've done anyway, so it makes it a lot easier to just kind of go through and just add a little bit of shading in the parts that are kind of already the darkest parts. In here will also be darker as well, in that little joiny madooby bit. This is tricky. I'm not going to pretend it's not, so just do your best. It's something that's definitely worth having a go at, but like, tell yourself the whole time while you're doing this, like, this is hard, and I'm not going to pretend it's not. It actually really, really is. As you can see, this is something that I struggle with a lot, even still. It's hard. It's really hard. It's hard to make a hand look realistic. It's hard to make it have all the details without looking weird. It's hard to get it in proportion. There's lots of parts of this that are actually really, really challenging. So like I said, yeah, just have a go, do your best. That's all you can do. And don't be too hard on yourself, because it's not worth it. It's just practice. And that goes down like that. I mean, these hands, it's a bit interesting, isn't it? It's not really on the money. It's okay, but it's not, I'm not going to pretend that this is perfect. All right, so I'm just going to do some light shading like that. I can always go in and add some more, but now I'm going to start working on things like my knuckles and all of the lines and details that go with those. So I've got lots of lines and things like that. I've started to draw them a little bit over here, but like I said, these are the parts of your fingers that bend. So it's actually really important that they're there. All right, I'm going to have a go. I'll come back. Okay, this is the kind of thing that if you're anything like me, you could spend a million billion years working on. I've just added in some little dark bits where my knuckles are, and I'm going to add in some lines as well, but I don't want them to be like overpowering, and I don't want them to look like weird and crazy. So I'm just going to do really light ones and then sort of blend them with my finger. Now I'm using a 4B pencil, which I realize that most of you are not going to have at home, and that's okay. It makes it a little bit harder to do your blending and your smudging and things like that. All you can do is your best with what you have. So don't fret. Yeah, like I said, I could keep going back and doing this all day, but I'm going to leave it for now. I want you to have a go. Do your best. All right, good luck. Take your time, be patient, have a go, and don't be too hard on yourself. Like I said, this is something that even now I still find really tricky, and I spend a lot of time messing around with trying to make things perfect, and they're really hard. You need to think about a lot of things when you're drawing hands, so just have a go. I can't wait to see what you do. Goodbye.